course, our creative team for coming up with this relevant and interesting topic, that is navigating career paths during the pandemic. Let me take this opportunity to welcome our panelists, Ms. Tashana Briscoe, Mr. Chevon Williams, Mr. Danmar Clark, and last but certainly not least, Mr. Jerome Darnells. I will be your host for this evening. My name is Shaniel Mackenzie. So guys, let me tell you, we have some amazing panelists here today. And let me give you some information on each panelist. And I'm imploring you guys, take this opportunity to ask them a lot of questions. So Ms. Tashana Briscoe, she's Digital Development and People Experience Manager and HR consultant for several years. She's a follower of Christ. She's a mother of an amazing 8-year-old handsome fella. She's a certified global talent management leader. She, of course, is an adjunct lecturer at the University of the West Indies. She's a learning development and people experience manager at Digicel, where she has successfully negotiated several partnerships, including the first ever employee assistance program with Choose Life International and Heart Trust NTA. She's a consultant and a trainer. She is a published scholar on work climate and motivation. She's, of course, a people and culture manager for Digicel in 2019, and she deals with the digital transformation team, and she is the in-house leader of the team, and she works with external consultants. And a part of the in-house team, she helps to revamp the dress code policy to a minimalist, smart, casual look, and she is so amazing, guys. I tell you, she's an HR consultant for several SMEs. And of course, she helps in her community by serving on several human resource performing bodies with an aim of improving Jamaican employees. And the most recent is MLSS, Labor Market Reform Commission. We have also with us this evening, who is no stranger, Mr. Chevon Williams. Mr. Williams is a strong believer in co-curricular involvement and has been a part of UWI student government for a number of years. He has also represented the university on a regional and international level to discuss matters facing tertiary education during his time as an undergraduate student. Chevon started the University of the West Indies in 2014 and has worked in various capacities with the institution and within the halls of residence, of course, next door, Chancellor Hall. He has continued his leadership journey when he was elected as the Social Sciences representative for 2016-2017 academic year, before advancing to the office of Vice President of the Guild of Students in 2017-2018. Mr. Chevon Williams then served as our Guild President of the University of the West Indies, Mona, in 2018-2019. He currently holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Accounting, Economics, and seeks further to, of course, pursue his Masters of Science degree in International Public and Development Management. Mr. Williams has worked in areas of student affairs, program management, education, as well as media. He is the recipient of the Gloria Wagstaff Award for Most All-Rounded Men. Chevon is currently a resident advisor at the Elsa Lear Riney Hall. Mr. Williams is one of the founding members of the Portrait Place and currently sits as a director. Chevon identifies himself through the spirit of altruism, and as such, he has made a commitment to his life in servicing others. Mr. Danmar Clark. He is a former law president at the UTech Faculty of Law, where he, of course, attained his degree. He is currently attending UWI, where he is pursuing a master's in government with specialization in comparative politics. He has an undying love for his country and youth in politics. He is very proud to be the current president of the Uemona Visions. He considers himself to be revolutionary and an advocate who believes in motivating our young people, breaking barriers, and changing the status quo. He is a strong believer in the need for entrepreneurial spirit among our generation. Currently, he is planning to launch his networking business. He has also launched his business, an online tech store called Danmar. Additionally, he has purchased his first piece of real estate in St. Anne with the intention of building condos to enter the Airbnb. As a countryman, farming is never too far from his heart. And as such, he plans to engage in poultry, goat, and pig rearing. Clark lives by a simple yet context quote: all leaders must disturb the universe. In the future, God's willing, he would love to become Jamaica's prime minister. Very interesting man, I tell you. And last again, but certainly, I tell you not least, Mr. Jerome Darnells. Mr. Darnells is a senior hospitality and tourism executive with over 10 years experience. And this is in the hotel industry, resorts, and attractions. He currently holds a bachelor's in hospitality and tourism management and marketing from the University of Technology, Jamaica. He has worked as a general manager, property manager, operations manager, sales executive, and consultant for cannabis research and startups. Panelists, welcome, welcome, welcome. Good to have you. So we are talking about navigating career paths during the pandemic, and I intend for this seminar to be a very conversational one, especially for the fact that it is very relevant and is very current because, of course, we are living in a pandemic. So panelists, general question. Would you say to students right now choosing a career path in, for example, fine arts, dancing, or some profession which you see right now is being affected by the pandemic, to halt and seize this opportunity to do their bachelor's in something that is profitable, one that is not affected in any way, shape, or form by this pandemic? Any one of our panelists, what are your thoughts on this?
All right, so let me take this one. So it's very hard to say that right now, because what is happening now is that the world is in a stage of flux and change. The digital revolution started a few years back, and it will continue. What's happening now is that job loss is actually at a faster rate than it is job creation, but in the end, job creation will outgrow job loss. I wouldn't say halt. What I would say is pause. Just like everything in life, you have to ensure that you're being a solution. So your career needs to be a solution. So unless you can find a problem to solve with your career, you might need to pause. So, pause. And what I tell employees, everybody that I come in contact with, is to download the World Economic Forum jobs report for 2020. That's where you want to start. Look at what's happening with the jobs. So fine arts may not be out, because there's always going to be the need for experience with digital transformation, because the first thing about it is that digital transformation is about allowing digital to do the mundane tasks that we find boring and that is repetitive, and sometimes we make mistakes, so that we can be better humans. And being better humans means you want experience. You're going to want somebody to dance. You're going to need to have a show on Netflix. So I'm not saying pause. And I'm not saying not do a degree in that, because to be honest, your degree just gets you through the door. Once you're in an organization, we can train you to do just about anything. So get your degree, yes, so that you can make it to the panel. But while you're doing your degree, try to find courses that provide a solution. So rather than looking at a title or a degree, a master's, BSc, and guys, I have a master's. I'm not saying that education is not good. I'm not saying that the qualifications are not relevant. But make sure, first of all, you are a solution and you're working into being a solution. That's the important thing.
Thank you so much, Miss Briscoe. So guys, I hope the interesting thing that I took from Miss Briscoe was not halt, but pause. Any one of our panelists have anything extra extensive to shed? Any light you can shed on this as well? All right. If not, we can move to, of course, our next question. How should students who recently graduated be searching for jobs right now? What do you say? And this, of course, is a general question to our panelists. Anyone can unmute and answer. Miss Briscoe, seeing that you deal with HR and change management and the whole works of HRM, HRD, you can shed some light on this.
Okay, so job hunting right now. All right, so as I said before, you have to be very strategic. You know, don't just go out there and say, I'm going to be job hunting without actually without knowing what you're looking for or what you're going to do, what problem you're going to solve. If it is that you're now job hunting, the best place to look is the digital space. Digital is growing at a rate that is just phenomenal. There are so many remote jobs. There are actually face-to-face jobs as well, but mostly remote, and there's also hybrid. So you want to find something that you're interested in, something that you, even if you can't reach love, because I know not everybody will find a job that they love, but you need to find something that when it is hard, you can get up in the morning after to work. Because during this pandemic, it is already hard, trying to say, oh God, am I going to get COVID? Am I going to be alive? You want to ensure that you search for a job that will give you that extra oomph. When you get up in the morning and you feel like, I really don't want to do this today, you can think about what you're going to do or think about the job and actually get up and go. But use the digital spaces. You can still look in the newspaper, but if a company is posting in a newspaper, chances are it's not a digital company, because most digital companies, they do everything online. And as millennials, I'm thinking that you guys would want to continue in the digital space as opposed to going somewhere where you're not gonna have technology so readily available, and you basically have to kind of come out of your norm of being, a digital native, where you have to use some long processes that really don't drive you, or you're not interested, and the work just seems so hard and heavy and everything. So I would say first, think about the solution that you want to solve, then try to find out where these companies post their jobs. And let me correct myself, if there are companies, say for instance that you want to go into farming, yes, you want to look on digital, but then you want to look at what RADA is doing. You want to look at what the forestry ministry is doing. So first of all, know what it is that you're looking for, and then look to that space for the jobs.
Thank you so much, Miss Briscoe. I have a question, and I'm directing this one to, of course, Mr. Jerome Darnells. Tourism is something that we depend on in Jamaica, of course. Would you say that navigating career path during this pandemic in the tourism and hospitality industry has been harder or easier? And why do you say this? Mr. Darnells is here.
Thank you for having me. Good evening to panelists. Working in the hospitality industry has been, a challenge for a lot of hoteliers, a lot of the owners and operators of this particular business. Anything to do with, hospitality in general, from travel to, you know, destinations that particularly deals with recreation, have been adversely affected by this pandemic. We are just now starting to see some level of, normalcy, with the vaccine being rolled out in most developed countries. So it's been easy. The multiplier also, the so
All right, folks, you know that we can't, it seems like we cannot have a little session without the internet and its connectivity issues. So we will come back to that question. And I'm sure that Mr. Darnells is excited to, of course, answer that question this evening. Mr. Williams, Siobhan, I know that the Portrait Place, it wasn't founded in the pandemic, but what do you have? What kind of advice do you have for small business owners or business owners overall who are trying to launch their business, especially during this pandemic?
All right, so good evening again, everyone. So, on a point of clarity, the Portrait Place was actually founded in the pandemic. It was founded 1 year ago, June 1st, actually. During that time, everyone was very worried about what it is that they're going to do with their lives. How is it that they're going to earn their bread? What can I do with my degree? So while it is that we are already employed, a group of friends and myself came together, and we decided to look at the pandemic and look at what really needs to happen in order to make ourselves successful and to impact lives. We decided to start the Portrait Place because we saw the way that the global industry and the digital market was moving, and we wanted to create something that could help bring some joy to people's lives during the pandemic. Now, even in COVID, people are still getting married, people are still having funerals, people are still being born, birthdays are still being celebrated. So it's important that we have something to mark these times. So we found something creative that can be used within these times. And observing all COVID protocols, we found something that could reach to your doorstep without you having to interact with anyone or anything. I think that's really what it takes to be successful in the digital age and to be successful in this pandemic period. You have to observe the market. You have to understand what it is that they want, and you have to create a product that is able to bridge the gap. You have to analyze the needs of your clients or your prospective clients so that you can create a system that will work. When we started the Portrait Place, it wasn't just to make some money. That was never it. What we wanted to do was create a system that can impact lives. So we wanted to set up something that we can allow some of our friends and some students to come and work for us and get a little cash on the sideline, and they can use that to assist themselves in school or to maybe pay their hall fee or something like that. But it's important that whatever it is that you decide to put forward, you think about it not just in terms of the now, not just in terms of the making cash, but think about it sustainably. Think about it as something that can impact your lives and the lives of future generations.
Thank you so much, Mr. Williams. I was looking at because I stalk the Portrait Place all the time, and I was looking at the website and I was saying, what, the Portrait Place, it wasn't started in the pandemic. So my apologies. because I thought that it started like a little bit, say for example, in November 2020. But I love what you're doing. Keep it up. And I have more questions for you soon, sir. Thank you. All right, Mr. Danmar Clark, I am ready to ask this question of you. And this question is quite an interesting question that I don't think, or I hope that young people, especially, or people seeking jobs, are taking into consideration that we are living in a time of scam, right? So, Mr. Clark, we are living in a time where fraudulent jobs, and I do say fraudulent jobs are being advertised. What can you tell students now to help them avoid signing up or applying for fraudulent employers and scams?
Hello, everybody hearing me?
Yes, sir.
All right, so that's a very interesting question. Trying to get my mic open, guys. Bear with me. Well, a video open rather. All right, lovely. Hold on. So it's not opening, but nevertheless, let me continue. So it's a very interesting question you should ask. And I can just say that it's not only fraudulent jobs being proposed to our students, but our scam related jobs being advertised to our students, but also our students are being involved in activities that involve scamming. But just to address the question that was asked, I advise all students and all my visionaries, before you accept any form of job offer, you need to do your proper research. You need to understand, and you need to be confident that the information is coming from a reliable source. I know Caribbean Jobs is one of those reputable websites a lot of persons apply to. So you can always go there. I know there's several other online platforms that persons can use to sign up for jobs. If it's a case where, well, I know it's a pandemic, so you have to be very vigilant or be very careful of going face to face, but nothing beats traditional way of, pulling up and delivering a resume. But obviously, in these times, you have to be very creative. On the other aspect of the question that I dissected, I must admit we're living in turbulent times. Students are struggling, and it's no surprise a lot of our students find themselves on the opposite side of the law. Many of them find themselves chopping to really getting their school fees paid and so on. It's a very unfortunate situation. At the same time, as a young leader, as a youth advocate, we have to definitely step in and really try to guide our young people. I really call upon our leaders and our more fortunate persons, our citizen society, to don't shy away from donating and helping our students as related to the scholarship aspect of things, or even providing them with job opportunities. I can tell you, the University of the West Indies provides or produces only the best in this country. So I would love to see our students flock the labor market. So yeah, that's definitely my take on the question.
Thank you so much, Anu. You mentioned the Caribbean Jobs. Any of the other panelists, do you have other websites you can share with students or people seeking jobs at this time? I know LinkedIn, and I must encourage everyone. Let me use this opportunity to implore you guys, build your LinkedIn page, all right? LinkedIn is like a professional Facebook page where you, of course, meet people such as our panelists here and other members of various organizations, and you can, of course, get jobs from this. Any other apart from LinkedIn and Caribbean Jobs?
Yes, there's a whole host of sites and forums, and guys, I want you to move away from the traditional way of job hunting. LinkedIn, yes, Caribbean Jobs, there's Employment Jamaica, there is also Fiverr.com, there is Great Door, there is Meet Frank. There are so many different apps, so many different platforms. But I also want to know that every company has a website. If they don't have a website, they have a LinkedIn page or they have a Facebook page. and people are not knowing, well, I guess because we are a little bit behind in the digital transformation, we're not knowing that Facebook and Instagram and these places are actually where you can find jobs. You know, last year, the majority, about 60%, I think, of Americans who found jobs got their jobs on Facebook. And I implore university students to look beyond the shores of Jamaica. I'm not saying to migrate, because half the time the jobs that are available beyond the shores are actually hybrid, meaning you work remote and you will take a flight, probably you spend a month in their country and work. You know, I've had friends that I've assisted in fixing their resumes for these jobs. So look at the website, look at the forum, the forums that you see happening online. I'm not talking about whether vax or anti-vax, or talking about the new latest artists. Go on these forums where they're talking about data scientists or they're talking about the new technology. When you join in those conversations, they're actually recruiters. When I was a recruiter, I used to go through these forums to actually find talent, because I'm able to see how you think before I get you in a room. And I would reach out to you and say, share your resume with me so that we can continue the conversation. Go to the virtual job fair. Every job fair that you see happening at UWI, UTech, wherever it is, go, because recruiters are actually looking. These sessions, sometimes, you know, if you're allowed to have conversations, have a conversation. You never know who is looking at your response. So don't just leave it to websites or anything. Meet people. Go to virtual events. Tomorrow Nestle is having their youth summit. Go. Ask questions, go in the mixers. My first job came out of me interacting with somebody. So it's important for you to network. No, we're not in a physical space, but you can still network online.
Thank you, Ms. Briscoe. And I'm glad you chose to answer that question, because I was coming right back to you.
Before you go on to the other question, I'd just like to add, in Jamaica, we have some of the most creative people in the world. We have talented graphic artists, we have exceptional video editors, we have wonderful voiceover talents. And in this digital age, we need to capitalize on all of these skills. There are websites such as Fiverr, Upwork, Freelancer, that one can simply sign up and the is here, and you get paid on a per job basis. So you get a contract for that particular job. You may get a contract that lasts a month, you may get a one-off, and it is extremely important that you build your LinkedIn and that you go out and that you network. But it's also very important that we don't forget about our creative industry. Many of these international films have been made right here in Jamaica, and we have the talent, we have the capacity to build the same quality films right here and produce for ourselves. So anyone out there who's watching now, if you like to do graphics, animation, or anything, feel free to go out there and start your own animation studio. You could be the next Pixar.
Thank you so much for that encouragement, Mr. Williams. And I hope that our viewers are listening, because Mr. Williams just shared with us how to build your digital brand. And that is something, for example, the YouTubers, or the famous term right now in Jamaica, the influencers, the photograph, those things are becoming so popular right now, right? That is why I posed a question earlier about the fine arts, because really and truly, if you're looking at our world right now, the arts, we're winning. We are winning in the arts. So thank you so much, Mr. Williams, for sharing how to build students' digital brand. And I'm coming back to you, Ms. Briscoe, to ask you further on, asking, because we're in a pandemic and we often hear no job, no day, right? And so I want to ask you, how has the hiring landscape really changed? Are we just making that general statement because we're merely not looking? How has it changed?
I'm happy you asked that question. So we are saying that no, because we're not retooling ourselves for what is to come. I mentioned before that it's very important that everyone download the Future of Jobs report from the World Economic Forum. I'm sitting in front of it right now, and I just want to start answering that question by listing the 15 skills that will be in demand from now until 2025. There's analytical thinking and innovation, active learning and learning strategy, complex problem solving, critical thinking and analysis, creativity, originality and initiative, leadership and social influence, technology use, monitoring and control, technology design and programming, resilience, stress tolerance and flexibility, reasoning, problem solving and ideation, emotional intelligence, troubleshooting and user experience, service orientation, systems analysis and evaluation, persuasion and negotiation. And from these 15 skills, I'm pretty sure that you can see them across various industries, across various places in organizations and spaces. So I don't think it is that there are no jobs. I mean, I go on LinkedIn every day. I have my notifications on and I get approximately 500 jobs every day across these different areas. So it's not that there are no jobs, it's that we are not transforming our talent to the jobs that are there. So there's a skills gap. What we're seeing now is the traditional way of working, even in fine arts. You won't get fine arts just as fine arts. You have to create something unique for the digital space because that is where it's going. So fine arts is even being used now in child therapy. It's being used in psychological assessment. So psychological counseling in therapy. So what you have to do now is, as I said before and I started, you have to be a solution. If you are not a solution, you'll be skilled, you'll pay millions of dollars getting a profession and you will still say, I can't find a job. Because when a company is hiring, they're not hiring a degree, they're not hiring a qualification. I'm hiring somebody who can fix a problem. So if in an interview you're going to say, oh, I have this, but I don't, once you train me, I'll learn. No, they're looking for a person to say, okay, this is the problem. Research these companies. Okay, they're having a challenge with digital transformation, or they're having a challenge with remote work. Prime example. When I was working in the digital transformation team, it's not that the company was saying, okay, we need this right away. It was that we were looking at the future and we're saying, okay, Jamaica is about 3 years behind the digital transformation. What would we need next? And we started to revamp the dress code saying, you know, we need to look like Google. If we're in the Caribbean, why are we spending thousands of dollars on work clothes when you can actually go to work in a jeans and a t-shirt and still get the job done? So we were looking to say, okay, if we're gonna be digital, we're gonna be innovative, we want people to feel comfortable, we want them to save money. What do? We change the dress code to say, okay, minimalist culture. You spend as least as possible so that you have more money in your pocket and you're happier doing your job. Then we started saying, okay, what would bring work-life balance or happiness, make us more efficient? Because our customers are you, millennials, and you want your service 24/7, that we can't pay people to work 24/7 because that's illegal. So we had to start looking at flexibility, and we started to do a remote work framework. And COVID came, and we had to use that framework and that policy as our answer to the pandemic, so that we're able to continue serving our customers and to do it. So my background is psychology. I have a first degree in psychology. I did HRD as well as a minor. But a lot of what I'm doing now is not necessarily from what I learned in my books. I was on Taylor Hall for 4 years, actually 5, because I came back and did my master's. And from working with the CEAC committee, from planning carnival and executing, these were the skills that I used when I got into the work world. When I'm answering questions, when I was being interviewed, it was really showing how these skills can be applied to HR. When I tell people my background, they're like, what? You're psychology, how do you know so much about business? So I said earlier on that I need to be a solution, and that's what we need to do. There are jobs, there are a lot of jobs. We need coders, we need software developers, we need content creators. And as Siobhan said, you know, creation is something that is booming right now. There's an app for everything, and companies will continue to build apps and improve apps. So what you need to do is, even if you're doing a marketing degree, make sure there is something digital. If you can't do it at UE, get a Coursera license. It's an app where you can learn any skill from any university across the world and be certified in it. Make sure you are ready. The pandemic is literally the pulling back of a slingshot for it to let go. When this pandemic hits, there is going to be a mad rush for talent, and it is going to be a candidate's market. Meaning, employers are not going to be having candidates running up to them, oh, I want to work for you. It's going to be candidates looking, say, which company do I want to work for so I can have work-life balance and I can enjoy my life? So you will have the opportunity to choose your job and to go to have companies flash things in front of you. Look at Netflix now. Netflix is offering unlimited vacation because America is already there. So they can say, okay, we give you unlimited vacation. All you have to do is get the work done. They don't have office hours. There's no 8 to 5. You go in anytime because they want the best and the brightest talent. Jamaica has the best. We have the best and the brightest talent. All you have to do is retool, reskill. Stop looking at the traditional jobs, the traditional careers. Get into what's happening online. Know what the world needs and become a solution, not just to Jamaica, but to the Caribbean and the wider world.
Thank you so much for that extensive answer. Folks, I hope you're listening to Miss Briscoe because she has knowledge on this thing, I tell you, right? We're gonna move on to the question and answer segment, and I hope that with all of what Miss Briscoe and Siobhan and Danmar and everyone is pouring it into our seminar this evening, I see a flood of questions coming in. I hope that is what is happening. All right. So Tiana, there's a question from Tiana, and I think that she's asked, she never specified which one of our panelists she's directing it to, but she's asking, school is online. How can she develop her skills? What can she do? And of course, panelists, anyone can answer. This is the question and answer segment where our viewers who are listening, they pose their questions.
All right, so the question was, what can you do to earn while school is online?
Yes.
All right, excellent. So as I mentioned earlier on, there are hundreds of online platforms that you can go on and you can use your skills to pursue. Recently, Amazon has changed one of their policies that now enable us here in Jamaica to create our own Amazon stores. So if it is that you want to order some products from, say, Alibaba or another online platform and have them shipped here to Jamaica, you can actually have them, you can actually create your own store and now have that being sent all across the world. You can also look into creating your own drop shipping company, whereby you can sell products without actually having to invest your capital into an actual store. They also have drop servicing, which is much like a BPO or a KPO, in that you are now providing services for someone without actually having the staff here. You're like a third-party referee to them. So there are a lot of ways that you can sit at home and you can have your company running, because a lot of people, this is what they do. I have some friends that have their own shipping companies that they run from Instagram and Facebook, and they have started their own websites from that, and they take orders there, and they rotate alternately. It depends on what your talent is. But I guarantee that no matter what your talent is or what your interest is, you can definitely start a store, or you can find a hobby or some creative industry that you can work with. You like clothes, you can start a clothing line. You like bath suits, start a bathing suit line, jewelry, a jewelry store. You like to travel. An interesting story. I actually had a friend who loves to travel, and because they like to travel, they decided to get registered as a travel agent, and they ended up starting a travel agency. And what started off as a way to have a cheap travel fit turned out to be something quite profitable for them. So now they have a booming online travel agency, and that works well for them. So in order to ensure that every day you're happy and you don't wake up being stressed about the job, find something that suits you. Find a market that you will enjoy going to work every day. So find a hobby and then turn that hobby into your job.
I'd like to just add a little bit to what Siobhan said, based on Tiana's question. You are going to class online, and I'm pretty sure you have the option of choosing the time that you want to go to class. So it means that you are able to schedule your day. I'm God forbid, I'm really sorry that people have to die during this pandemic. But I think one of the great things that came out of it is that you're not spending 1 or 2 hours in traffic. That's 1 or 2 hours that you can invest in a job, whether it's online or face to face. So schedule your timetable in such a way that you're able to study and also have a job. I know quite a few classes are available 6 to 9. So you can start out by doing that. There are lots of companies that hire interns or apprenticeships for short term. If you are, I personally, I maybe eventually will go into entrepreneurship, but I know from working in corporate that with entrepreneurship, the buck stops with me. So I'm kind of like afraid, like when I lose my money, I can't go to my boss and say, boy, you lose your money, but you still have to pay me. But if I'm an entrepreneur and I lose my money, I don't get paid. So I understand if it is that you want the security of working for someone, you can check around. There are lots of companies now that are doing part-time. They're doing online as well. They're doing remote. They're doing once a week. So you can also check on that as well.
And Danmar wants to, of course, chime in too on this. Go right ahead, Mr. Clark.
Most definitely. One thing I can say to all the students at UWI, now we're in the 4th industrial revolution. It's a perfect time to go ahead and start your own business. For me, I recognize that since we're in this technological age, or we're in this whole digital transformation of education, etc., I decided to start selling technological devices because I realized that there's a huge demand for headsets. There's a huge demand for Chromebooks, laptops, and so on. So it's, as our good friend Siobhan mentioned, it's all about studying the market and tapping into the market. You don't have to start big either. I know a lot of persons right now who are selling like their own hair products, their own facial products, and so on. So you have to be creative. There must be some area, there must be some passion that you have that you want to execute. Time's hard. That's just the reality. We're in a pandemic, so we have to use our skills. We have to tap into those interests and exploit them as best as we can. You understand me? Look at networking. When I sat down with my friends, I said, listen, guys, a lot of persons in rural Jamaica and even in the urban areas don't have reliable internet access. What we need to do, we did our research. I recognize that light beams could be used to transmit internet legally without violating any form of license that Digicel Flow has. So it's all about being very creative. It's all about making that investment, because I can tell you, every skill that you would have developed during the pandemic, obviously you're going to be using them after the pandemic and you want to advance them. Now is the era where we have a lot of business owners, or I want to see a lot of business owners, people. We're moving from the traditional days of doing things. You understand me? So if I think, oh, I'm just going to have a degree in psychology, I'm going to find a psychology job, it doesn't work like that anymore. You have to use that psychology degree to evolve and develop skills. So I'm really interested to see how all of this will play out. I really want to see our young people jump into this entire entrepreneurial spirit or in this entrepreneurial space and really advance the economy. You understand me? I want to see a lot of business owners. I want to see the level of flexibility coming from our young people, because the entire pandemic and the work from home regime has really created this idea of flexibility. So you're not doing a 9 to 5 anymore. You can always have a side hustle, and the side hustle can help you to achieve your goals. I mean, a lot of us young people, all of them want to own their own home and so on. And I can tell you, 9 to 5 won't do it. So COVID-19 has been a thorn in the side of many. We've lost a lot of people. It has really ravaged a lot of economies, but at the same time, it really is a catapult to bring us to where we need to be in this, of course, 4th industrial revolution.
Thank you so much, Mr. Clark. Do not move. I have a question for you. Tiana K is asking, what legal recommendations do you have for people seeking jobs? For example, should they be familiar with the Employment Act of Jamaica?
Wow, I love that question. Big up yourself. Most definitely, everybody who's seeking to be employed, know your rights. Know your rights, because I can tell you, a lot of employers will actually exploit you. A lot of them will have you work outside the necessary work week or work hours. So you have to know your rights. You understand me? Interestingly, I can tell you, a lot of these employers don't even know the law themselves. At my place of employment, I can tell you, there was an incident where, a gentleman who worked in the warehouse area, a lot of persons in management they took him for granted. And they tried to violate the man's rights. And I can tell you, when his lawyers came in and they had a discussion and showed them or combed through the act, the Employment Act, I can tell you, the management team was really shocked and they were embarrassed. So know your rights, my friend. And if you don't know, there are a lot of law students at normal law school and those at the faculty level, ask them. Especially in these times, the pandemic, I can tell a lot of employers, they're seeking to suck the life out of you, so to speak, because everybody wants to generate on profits. Times rough. So in these times, you have to make sure there's a balance. You have to make sure you look out for yourself as well. So know the Employment Act.
Most definitely, Danmar, most definitely. And I realize that most questions coming in are very repetitive. Everybody wants to know what skills should they have right now, what skills are profitable. And of course, we are moving into the online world, so people want to know, what can we do? What can we do? What skills do I need to have? Do I need to have initiative? Do I need to be a leader? Do I need to be organized? The common skills. How can we know, of course, evolve those? Because as you mentioned, we have to no longer, you can't have a psychology degree and say, okay, I'm going to be a psychologist after you have gotten the degree, of course. So how can you then, build on the skills that you have? So I think that this question is, of course, for Miss Briscoe, because you're in change management, you're in HR, you're in HRD, which of course is similar. The more things change, the more they remain the same. People are still asking what skills are profitable, Miss Briscoe. So I guess you need to stress on this some more.
Right, so I'm gonna give another take. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the 10 jobs that are becoming redundant, and I'm going to give you the 10 jobs that are emerging now, and that will help. So I gave you the skills before. I'm going to give you the jobs now, and you can find this data, as I said before, on the World Economic Forum, the Future of Jobs. So the 10 jobs that are being made redundant now, you have data entry clerks, accounting, bookkeeping, payroll clerks, administrative and executive secretaries or admins, sales representative, wholesale and manufacturing, technical, general and operations managers, business service and administrative managers, assembly and factory workers, mechanics and machinery repairs, legal secretaries, statistical, finance and insurance clerks. Now the 10 jobs that are emerging, you have data analysts and scientists. And guys, I can tell you that one, we're always short. Like there's never a time where we have enough data scientists in our company. AI and machine learning specialists, that one is also very important as well. As we move into smart things, as smart things become a thing of Jamaica, smart fridge, smart cars, smart houses, we need more persons in AI. Internet of Things specialist, digital marketing and strategy specialist. So if you know marketing is not just about an advertisement, no. It's about looking on Facebook and Instagram to see what the customers are saying, to see what they're posting, to know how do we build relationships. It's not about selling anymore. It's really about building relationships in the digital space. Big data specialist, and this is for everywhere you can think, bank, HR, psychology. Everybody needs to know the data. They need to know what the data is saying. Gone are the days where people make decisions because they feel like it or because they like it. Follow the money. Even if you're working in corporate and you're following the money, you can make money. You have to also, the other ones are information security analyst. And that must be a big one because as you said, with the scam, there's a lot that's happening. Today, I had my sister was actually verifying herself on Coursera. And all she did was turn on the camera for the app. They asked her to take a picture of her passport. And then she turns on the camera, move her head from side to side, and they could verify that it's actually her. And these things are going to be needed locally. It's not just about the American companies. There's fintech engineers. If you see NCB, Scotiabank closing most of their branches because they're going into financial technology. There's a lot that's going to be happening in the digital space for financial digital transformation specialists. And that's why I do HR, I do psychology, but my passion is digital transformation, because you'll need people from the people side, which is people and culture. You're going to need people from the technology side, which is building the apps and the software. You're going to need people from the marketing side, from the communication side. So there's a whole industry in digital transformation. Project managers are a very big one, especially agile project managers. You no longer want people who are going to take it from one step, two-step project management. You need to have somebody from HR and project management. You need to have somebody from marketing, somebody from technology. And this is where the agile team comes in. There's also management and organization analysts. People and culture is a big one, because what you're going to see happening in a few years from now is what you call the gig economy. So employees are not going to be employed to one company. So if you're an HR person, you're not going to be just working for NCB or Scotiabank, but you're going to be an HR person who takes a gig with whichever company. So in your lifetime or in a week, you're working at 5 different companies. And I'm excited to see that happen in Jamaica. I know it's way ahead, but just to know that you won't be tied to one job. So therefore your earning potential will be a lot greater based on the industry and the profits of the company. So look out for those type of things. Managing virtual teams is another big one, because with hybrid workspace, you'll have people remote and you'll have people in the office. There's another big thing, which is an entrepreneurial mindset within a company. So even though you're going to be working in a company, what companies want now are people who will make decisions like they're making the decision for their own company. And with this, I'm sure, based on what has happened around the world, when they have done all of these things, they reduced the work week from a 5-day week to a 4-day week. All of these things have seen increased productivity and also increased profits, not just for employers, but for employees as well. And it's the world is changing, guys. You are the key. As I always say, a lot of you will be responsible for our retirement. So my job is to ensure that I equip you with what you need. It's a lot more than I can say here, but you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm most times, fingers crossed, available, and I'll be able to answer your questions.
I'm definitely going to take on that opportunity, Miss Briscoe. We'll talk. And I'm glad you came with your list, because someone asked a question. What advice do you have for those who just completed a degree in a traditional job, but has become aware that this job is likely to become redundant in the near future?
Okay, get a footing in somewhere. If you don't know what you want to do, just get a footing in a company as HR, anywhere. Just get into a company. I take interns on a yearly basis. The other day I asked, not the other day, in the summer, I asked a business management lecturer to send me an intern. And I now have someone working on my people experience team whose first degree is in tourism. She's never seen what she's done before, but she's receptive to learning and she's very pleasant. So I'm able to teach her everything that I know. So if you have done a traditional degree and you're unsure of what you want to do, get in an internship and an apprenticeship program. And while you are there, meet people, talk to people, find out what the different departments do. I'm pretty sure you will either figure out that you don't want to work there or you'll figure out that you want to do something there. But either way, it will help.
Most definitely. And I encourage everyone, if you're in second year, third year, you have a foot out of the university, please ensure that you are an intern somewhere. I guess Mr. Clark also wants to chime in on that, because I saw your camera just now.
Yes,
Mr.
yes.
Clark, go right ahead.
I must agree with Ms. Briscoe. The reality is, guys, your degree, irrespective of the area that you specialize in, is very powerful. You can have a degree in tourism, as she clearly pointed out a while ago, and you're in a company that deals with sales. And by virtue of you being in that area, you would have acquired a lot of skills. You say to yourself that, you know what, I like this area. it has grown on me. I can really grow in this company. I can move from different levels. So trust me, guys, not because you have a psychology degree, no means, oh my God, it's over for me. Degrees are very powerful. They can be used in any and every area, I'm telling you. So apply yourself. That's a key thing. Apply yourself and keep an open mind whenever you're going on the job market. Be very diverse as an individual. Don't just coop yourself in just tourism alone, but create a mindset or be the type of person that would have been in different areas. So when a person looks at your resume, them can say, all right, this person is quite diverse. Yeah, we can use them. So definitely, man, your degree is power. Just know that every degree has power in it. So just use it and apply yourself.
All right, Mr. Clark, degree is power, folks. Ensure that you know that one in your subconscious. Degree is power. Your degree is power. Right. So a student also wants to know, how do you build relationships with co-workers, employees, bosses, supervisors in order to have that rapport that may need to give you an edge for promotion when the face-to-face interaction continues?
All right, let me just grab that one real quick. That one really touches and concerns me. Guys, one of the things I can tell you for all young persons going out in the job market, your employer observes you, your supervisor observes you, your managers observe you as well. So the best way to build a strong relationship with these persons is based on your work ethic and your behavior. I can tell you, you might start off as a slow employee, but by virtue of your interest and by virtue of you trying and your attitude being early, punctuality is key. You're showing respect, proper grooming, you can make it to the top with your employees. And I can tell you, whenever it comes on to promotion, I've seen this in my place of employment. Whenever it comes on to time of promotion or time of promotion, it's not necessarily the best employee who performs best. It's usually the person with the right skills and attitude, primarily attitude. And when your employer can see you coming at 7, even when we start at 8, and you start to set up the place and you start to organize things, these things, wow, them are like, this person has the attitude I'm looking for. And I can tell whenever times of promotion come around, you'll be there. And even when you want to leave that job, you can always go to your manager and say, boy, bossy, I see a bigger post for me at that ministry or at that organization. What you think? And they'll say, yeah, man, I know the manager over there. I'll recommend you. I'm good with HR. I'll recommend you because you're that good. So attitude. And I can tell you, for me, at my place of employment, I have a great relationship with my supervisor. My manager can call him anytime. And it's all because of my behavior. It's not because of no friend thing or link thing, but people observe how you perform and how you behave. So guys, don't go into work with any stink attitude. Be humble and be willing to learn and grow. It's a learning process. Yeah. Thanks.
Right. I have to definitely chime in on that one, Mr. Clark, because I think right now we are using the term skills. Let me just say loosely, because people are not really understanding the whole idea of skills, right? And I'm glad you touched on being early and punctual and all of that, but a simple skill such as having initiative, that is something that can separate you from other employees, right? So when we talk about skills, we're not talking about the popular ones like excellent in Microsoft Office. Those common ones that, of course, Ms. Briscoe, you can of course relate to, because I'm sure that you see this one often on your resumes. The term skills is used loosely, guys. And I just wanted to have an understanding really of what the term skills mean. Something too that separates you from other employees. And of course, Mr. Williams, I have a question for you. A student is asking, I'm interested in entrepreneurship. What are some major barriers to launching a personal business? Mr. Williams, you're mute.
Apologies. All right, so I was saying thank you very much for that question. I will always speak passionately about entrepreneurship because I believe strongly that it is the way for future generations to begin to strive from now. Everyone can have a 9 to 5, yes, but as was mentioned earlier on, a 9 to 5 will not make you rich. And when it is that you are sick or you are unable to go into work, eventually the money will run out. So it's important that you create something that is sustainable. When starting off, one of the biggest barriers to entry is probably knowing what to do, knowing if you should start selling services or if you should start selling products, which is why research is very, very important. You can't get up and start a business in a market that is already saturated. You can't go out selling hair products where every time you go on Instagram, you see 5, 6, 10 people selling hair products. It's important that you find something that is suited to your talents, something that you're passionate about, and something that you know that you can do easily. I always recommend something in the creative field, because if you create something that is personalized, then there's nothing else like it. You're offering a product and you're offering a service, and you're making something that is one of a kind. If you're making something that no one else has, you can then set your own prices for that product. Capital is also a big issue. When you start off a company for the first time, you may not have the money to buy equipment. You don't have the money to purchase a car for the delivery. However, you don't need all of that. The only thing you have to do is just have the idea and start small. You don't have the money to buy the equipment. However, there is another entity that already has the equipment and is able to produce what you want at a high standard. So you talk to that person or talk to that company and create a bond. You create a partnership with that entity so that you can get lower rates for whatever product or service that you're offering. If it is you're doing delivery, you find a delivery company and you say, hey, I'm going to be giving you 10 items per day, 100 items per week, whatever it is, and I need you to give me at this cost. And you move from there. When it is that your company is up and running and you have enough funds that you can provide for yourself and you can now buy some equipment, you go ahead and you do that. But there's no need to jump and say, all right, this company is what I'm going to do. I'm going to spend $1 million on a printer or a jewelry maker, a heat press or something like that. Start off small, take it in stages, test the waters. You may start 2, 3, 4 companies and they fail. But when you start the 5th one, it will make sense. So take it slow, take it steady, find your groove, and eventually you will make it. Just don't give up.
Thank you so much, Mr. Williams. And I'll use this opportunity to talk about the whole idea of vision statement, your mission statement, and your value statement. A lot of people, when you're starting your business, we seem to just focus on the profitability and not focusing on our vision, our mission, and our value statement. Ms. Briscoe, shed some light on how integral that is when starting your business.
Well, thanks for that one. It's not only integral when starting the business, it's integral while the business is in full flow. It's easy to make money. It's very easy to make money. It's very easy to make money for a short period of time. A lot of the companies that are struggling today, they struggle not just because there was no vision statement, but there was no real vision. And when I say vision, I'm not talking about just the one that you put on the wall, or we want to be caring or we want to be kind. But companies that have a solution, like they know this is what we want to do. We want to make the world a better place. This is what we want to make sure that people have money. We're not gonna rob, we're not gonna overcharge customers, we're not gonna treat employees bad. And I believe not just is it something out of the Bible that you treat people the way you want to be treated and what goes around comes back around. Not just those things, but it actually happens in business and in real life. A lot of business suffer because there's no integrity, and they may start with integrity, they may start with a vision that we want to do good, but along the way, making profits became more important than doing good and maintaining integrity. And then what you do is you see those companies die. You know, there's this saying that culture eats strategy for breakfast. It is a real thing. You can have a fabulous business idea. You can have a fabulous product. You can be earning a lot of profit, and it just take like just one tip of bad culture coming in, and then it spreads like a cancer. Whether it is a culture of speaking to people badly, or a culture of underpaying your employees, or a culture of trying to get the cheapest material to give your product, or a culture of overcharging customers. It's important that you have a vision, that you want a business that can be a solution to a problem, and a business that is not a cheat sheet. And you'll find it right now. All you have to do is just one mess up with a customer. First time they used to say if you have one bad customer, one bad employee, that person tell 25 persons. Now you have social media. One bad employee experience, one bad customer is on Pinkwall. And then it's the 4 million, or no, it's not 4 million. There's about 2 million there about Jamaicans online. Once it is that you have 2 million people knowing what you have done. So it's very important that you have a vision to do right by people, to let good faith prevail, meaning that you do the right thing, you say the right thing, you treat people the right way. Starting out your business, maintain it, and if you find somebody in your company that is not doing that, you need to decide to get a surgery for that cancer, because bad culture spread and it will kill your company if you don't get it in control. So maintain your vision, have a good vision, and maintain it. Revamp it if needs be, but always keep it on the good end.
Most definitely, Miss Briscoe, most definitely. Thank you so much. And I want to, Siobhan, you want to add also?
Yes, I just wanted to add briefly to what Ms. Briscoe just said. Having a vision and creating a culture for any entity is extremely important. And we can all identify and say Netflix, Digicel, or whomever have their own culture. When you start your own brand, it's important that you create your culture. What is it that you want others to see? Now, not every product that you send out will be perfect. But what should always happen is that each person is treated like a king or a queen. So when it is that they don't get a perfect item, they can come back to you and they can say, hey, I'm not fully satisfied. And when you're starting off, it's important that you understand that the customer is always right. If it is that they have a genuine issue, it's your job to fix it. It may cost you some profit, fine. But that person now becomes a story. That person now becomes happy, and that person tells everyone that, why, somebody have a problem, and them go out of them way to ensure that I got it on time, to ensure that I got it at my location, to ensure that I got what I want. I wanted an elephant on the roof, and they put the elephant on the roof just for me. So go out of your way and ensure that your customers are always satisfied. Create a vision, create a mission that pleases not you as a person, but pleases your clients.
Thank you so much, Mr. Williams. And I have to end on this note for a final question. And I'm going to pose this one to Mr. Clark. We are talking, we cannot leave off the whole idea of or mental state of mind during this pandemic and navigating career paths and all of that, right? So my question to you is, in the end, all in all, in essence, how or what is your advice to students dealing with anxiety and finding jobs at this time?
Wow, that's a powerful question. Very powerful. Guys, I'm gonna have to be real with you, and essentially that's the purpose of having us on the panel. Times are very hard. We're going through a recession essentially. So you're gonna experience a lot of anxiety, especially whenever you browse on probably Caribbean Jobs or those other platforms, you see a job you really want, you say, yeah man, we can see myself in another role here. You know, so I send my resume, I have bite a fingernail and wait for the call, you don't get the call, I say, Jano, them couldn't even email me and tell me, say, I don't get the job. And the reality is you're going to get a lot of that. You have to remain steadfast, you have to remain strong and know that, listen, it's like this, may I go and push out the resumes. One of the things I advise to do, learn from persons who are out there, especially great resume writers. Ask them how can you improve your resume so that whenever an employer looks at them, you can say, yeah man, I forget that person here, that interview here. You understand me? We're in a pandemic, and I can tell you, no matter how strong you say you are or whatever, it is taking a toll on everyone. Everybody have bills to pay. Everybody have hall fee to pay. Everybody have school fee to pay. And a lot of us, remember, our parents are not rich. We live in a third world country. You dig? A lot of us parents don't have it like that. So the pressure is on them and the pressure is on us as well, especially for those who just graduated. Mommy and daddy glad at graduation take the picture, but you have the degree now. And what are you going to do now? So you have to start. You understand me? I don't want you guys to put your brain in the box as well. Be the movers and shakers of this fourth industrial revolution. If you have a business idea, execute it. You understand me? Start it now. Here where Shavan mentioned capital is an issue. Find some good friends that you can work with and pool the capital together and get your business running. Because I can tell you, when the pandemic is over, it's the persons who were clever, the persons who were smart, the person who did their research, the persons who started their business. They are the ones who will benefit the most. You can't be one of them people sitting and still write resume and a job off resume. No. My granny always say, use your hand, make craft. You're not stupid. There's a reason why you got a degree in the first place, so you can apply yourself. So it's going to be stressful. It's going to be hectic, but keep at it. And I believe in you. And I want all Pelicans to know that Danmar Clark, Human Vision's president, is proud of every single student. Keep fighting. We're going to make it through this pandemic and we're going to be successful. All right? That's my 2 cents.
Thank you so much, Mr. Clark, for ending on that warm note. And thank you for the motivation. At this time, we are going to have the thank you, and that is going to be done by one of our fellow students.
Good night, everyone. I am beyond honored to have been given the privilege to present the vote of thanks for tonight. First, I must say thank you, Miss Chanel Mackenzie, our host, for beautifully guiding us through tonight's discussion. You did a tremendous job, and we are beyond grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And also to our panelists, Miss Tashana Briscoe. You have shared with us a lot of nuggets of advice, and we will definitely be applying this to our life strategies as we go forward. Thank you for encouraging us to be present in virtual job fairs. That was a great advice for networking ourselves and being engaged in all these activities. Thank you for also encouraging us to be a part of the solution in today's marketplace. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Also to Mr. Jerome Darnells. Thank you for also encouraging us as well to start your own business in this digital transformation. You gave us a great idea, and thank you for also telling us to be creative in exploiting our skills. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mr. Chevron Williams, we will definitely be observing the workplace and doing proper research as we go about searching for jobs, and to also ensure that whatever we do in our lives, we are filling gaps out there in society. And last but not least, Mr. Danmar Clark, thank you for also encouraging us that a degree is definitely important in our lives, and our degree has power. We will be taking these nuggets of encouragement, as I stated, and applying these to our lives. Thank you to our viewers. Thank you for everyone who commented in the chat. It was a privilege to be here tonight. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good night.
Thank you so much, Miss Williams, and thank you for doing the vote of thanks to us. Thank you to our lovely panelists. Boy, I tell you, I have learned, and Miss Briscoe, I will definitely reach out to you.
Okay, bye guys. Be safe.
Take care. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.